Hey everybody. Kevin Barheit here. Thanks for tuning in. I have just gotten back from a very long trip to Japan and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about it. This channel and the videos that I put together here is really about what happens after recovery. It would make no sense for me to make these videos unless I had really manifested some of those benefits and some of the miracles in my life, because I think that's the point. One of the real big things is trying to transcend that and have the life that I never thought I could live. So today I'm actually going to be doing a lot less talking to the camera and I'm going to be speaking in this direction. And there's a reason I am. I'm actually having a conversation with somebody that was in Japan with me. Hi, sweetie.
Hi.
This is my wife and I, and we just spent the last couple of weeks together, hand in hand, face to face, right by each other's side, doing something we've never even imagined having to do before. My wife actually went to Japan a little bit earlier than I did because her mother passed away back in March. And it was very traumatic for us. It was almost a two-year illness. It was cancer. And she spent a great deal of time with her mom, my beautiful mom-in-law. And after she passed, she made us promise. She made my wife promise and asked, can you please come back and take care of the house and take care of all of the estate? And please bring Kevin with you. Hardest part for me was, and we had to do a lot of cleaning, a lot of sorting through things, and going through all of her belongings. Sometimes it was just me not even realizing she wasn't there and wanting to say to you, or even saying to you, did you tell mom? Did you ask mom? Like she was just right there in the other room. I remember sitting in the room as we had asked people to come in and take some of the furniture, and they were assessing the furniture and they were taking it out. And I remember sitting in sitting in the chair where she always sat, and I could see straight through the house, through the doors, into the other rooms where she actually passed, and the rooms where she lived, and where the altars were and things, and all of her belongings. And I could hear them working, and it was just this clear view through the doorways. And all of a sudden they just passed by. They were just carrying things. And it was like all of a sudden I saw her belongings go in front of me and then out. And it was like watching a movie or something, or just watching like a freeze frame on a picture, where it was like she was there and she was gone. Her things were there and then they were gone. I remember saying that to you and how hard that was. And I remember you reminded me that you were actually there the moment. You were actually there. I remember I was on the phone back here with you 15 minutes before she passed, and you said, do you want to say something to her? And I talked to her, and you told me that her eyes actually lifted up, and she didn't open them, but she recognized my voice even in the last 15 minutes. But you were there in that moment when she went from this world to the next. I didn't have that. It was really difficult for me to be there and not being able to feel like I could say goodbye. And watching that furniture go by was probably the closest I could get to that sense of loss, grief. I just cried and just hurt so much. About a week later, we finally got to take a trip to relax. And we went all the way to Nagasaki, which is where your dad's sister, your aunt, lives. I think one of the most powerful things always for me is being an American and being in Nagasaki and being there and having the conversations we had with her, sitting there around her table, and her mentioning that just one block away was the river where all the kids were playing and they were literally vaporized. I mean, the bomb just wiped them out there. Realizing how close we were. But she's 89. Mm-hmm. But keeps telling us she's 88 because she forgets that she had a birthday last year. And so everything about her is kind of surprising and silly and fun, and then yet meaningful and serious. I'll never forget that moment when she was talking, I don't know what, she was serving us food, and I think we were eating, was it breakfast or dinner?
Dinner.
It was dinner that night that we were there, and she just out of the blue, out of nowhere, just looked over at me with all the love in her heart and very pure kindness, and just called me, she just looked at me and just said, Papa-chan, right? It was just out of her mouth came Papa John, and both of us just heard that. Papa John? Why are you calling me Papa John? Papa John? And she just said, yeah, you're Papa John. I think of all the nicknames I've ever gotten, that's the one that I want the most. And it's the one that I feel so proud of, because not just because it was her giving it to me, but because that's what our boys call me, Papa. And that's what all three of my grandchildren call me, Papa. But then for her to call me Papa Chan with that level of tenderness and love and caring and respect, and I think it elevated who I am. It elevated who I am to her, that I'm part of this family, I'm part of her family, that she trusts me, that she cares about me. I think that really meant a lot to me. But the whole next week we went to the Obon Festival. We were able to celebrate with the Buddhist priest and have the ceremony for Mom with all of our family there, and your brother and everyone. But I don't think we expected the one part of the trip, which was, you had asked me, is there anything you want to do while we're here in Japan? And we had gone to many places like Nagasaki in the past, or Ushibuka, my favorite island in the whole world. But back in 2001, when I really was falling apart, my whole life was really crashing. I had stopped going to meetings, I had stopped working a program, I had stopped caring for myself and doing all the things that had made me healthy, lost my job, our marriage was really pretty struggling, and even my place as a papa, as a father, I just wasn't doing very well. I was crashing and burning. I was in a dry drunk, and I was pretty destitute emotionally, spiritually, physically, and mentally. And I had just lost my job when we went to Japan in 2001 in July. But we were going to Ushibuka, and along the way to Ushibuka, we took a train, and then we were going to take a ferry from Minamata, Japan. And I didn't even know the name was Minamata, but I told you when you asked me, is there anything that you want to do while we're here? And I said, you remember that place where we went back in 2001? Because I had sat on the pier waiting for that boat to come in with all the emptiness that I had in my soul and all the hopelessness that I had at that point. And I swear I just felt something, I heard something came into my heart, it came into my brain, it came into my senses. Family is family. Nothing else is family. And there was just this clear change that happened at that moment, where I knew that all the things that I had been putting before my recovery, my work, I was putting my work first, I was putting my activities first, I was putting all the things in my life first, were stopping me from being the person that I wanted to be. I had a corner office job, I was making a lot of money, I was doing all these different things and supposedly, providing for my family. And yet I couldn't be there for you. I couldn't be there for the kids, and I couldn't be there for myself. And I wanted to go back there this time. So we did. And it was almost like a little miracle to us that we got to walk down to the pier, because when we walked down there, it was exactly like my memory of what it was like that time 18 years ago. And I cried, and I felt the raw feelings of where we had been 18 years ago. But what really dawned on me as I sat there again on the edge of that pier, everything's going to be okay. It had to do with knowing that I came from a place just 18 years ago that was so desolate and so broken. I couldn't even be there for you. And now here I am, right by your side, and we're there by each other's side, doing something I never thought possible. And that's the difference between doing videos like this 18 years ago, or doing videos like this 33 years ago when I first got sober, when I first got clean, and doing them now. These are the transitions in my life, in our life, that were really, really painful. And even though this past couple of weeks, couple of years has been extraordinarily painful, we did it together. And the only reason I think that I could do any of this as a part of your life and a part of my own life and a part of our family's life is because I've put my recovery just front and center every day. And you've supported me on that. And it's been a miracle. It's been the cornerstone and the foundation for everything that I do and everything that we've built our lives around. Everything's going to be okay.
Okay.
Everything's going to be okay. Do you know that? Do you know it?
Yeah.
Me too. And it doesn't mean that everything's going to work out the way we want. It doesn't mean that everything's going to be perfect, right? But we're getting there. And the point is we'll get there together no matter what is broken, no matter what happens, no matter how difficult it can be. If we keep walking the walk the way we've learned and the way we've practiced, not just individually, but as a couple, we'll get there. Everything's going to be okay. How do I wrap up now?
How do you usually wrap up?
You heard her. Thanks so much for spending time with us today. And it is us. My wife's here with me. It was a very special day for me. Thanks for making this possible. Thanks for being a part of this. Please make some comments below if you want to communicate with me. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I look forward to talking to you again and seeing you next time. Take care.